Doing things differently this week. We've got 3 basketball players in studio. There are going to be fans in the stands. It's going to be raucous of sorts within the Marriott Center. It's going to feel that way. And who better to kind of prepare us for what it's going to be like than BYU basketball radio analyst, a man who helped pack the Marriott Center in his tenure, Mark Durrant, with us on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. Mark, what was your reaction when you first heard that there will be some number of fans in the Marriott Center for the final 2 home games this regular season?
I thought it was fantastic and about time, if I may say so. I'm all for being safe, and I want everyone safe, but it's certainly time for some fans to get in there. These players deserve that kind of experience, and the fans do. I mean, this is a pretty cool team, and people are getting behind them, and they want to see them. So let's make it happen. Let's find a way to make it safe and get as many people in there as possible. And everybody's good and it's fun. And there's no reason at this point not to. I know there's a lot of arguments out there. I'm not trying to be political, but you can get a safe number of fans in and it'll make all the difference. And it'll be a special experience, especially Saturday with senior night. I was at LMU the other day, and senior day with no fans, it made me sad for those players. So let's get as many fans in there to honor those seniors and watch some good basketball.
Absolutely. And right now, BYU is sitting pretty. Mark, this is awesome. Like, after last year, I didn't think BYU would be in this position at this point this year, but here we are, comfortably in the NCAA tournament for like months on end. This isn't the typical season we've seen for a while, but BYU's answered the bell. They've been really good. They've been awesome defensively. They're playing 10 deep. This is like a very different version of BYU that's headed for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I hope it's typical going forward, and it has been typical at times. I think Mark Pope has a nice formula going, and success breeds success. I mean, that's the whole Gonzaga story, is they just keep building on their success every year, and it becomes a place where people want to go and they know they're going to have success. And so this is a fun team, really unusual, so many different guys, so deep and very unselfish, and they seem to be getting better and better. And so it's exciting to think what this team can do in postseason, whether it's the West Coast Conference tournament or the NCAA tournament. And they're playing some good ball right now. I mean, how many times have Greg and I gone on that road trip to LMU and Pacific or whoever, Pepper, and you're lucky to get out of there with your life, let alone 2 wins. And they just smoked those guys. They smoked them. I mean, they just drilled them. And to do that on the road against those are good teams in the conference. The conference is good this year, and those are good teams. And they just worked them. So they're playing some good basketball right now.
Mark Durrant with us on BYU Sports Nation. You bring up LMU, and the CBS sports analyst took notice of what BYU was doing, smoking those guys down there in Los Angeles, dominating them on their own floor. And the conversation came up that just maybe BYU's a better team this year than the team last year, which put us all a little bit on our heels when we heard that. But, Mark, what do you think of the idea that this team may be better than last year's team featuring Yoli Childs, Jake Toolson, TJ Haas, among others?
Well, I don't know about them being better. I mean, it's like asking me who's better, Spencer and Jarom. I mean,
there's an answer, and it is Spencer.
They got some. Hey, listen, you got some things going for you, Jarom. I mean, look at you. You're a handsome guy, and so, I mean, some things Spencer's good at. I mean, look at him. He's got beautiful blonde hair. I mean,
dreamy, right?
And he's got that elite speed, and you've got the style. So, listen, both teams have a lot of good things about them. But there's certainly this year's team's better in a lot of ways. I mean, the depth, the size, the defense. Last year's team was just – they were the number 1 3-point shooting team in the country. And in my view, college basketball nowadays, just look, even NBA, look what the Jazz did last night, where they make 27 threes. So the 3-point shot is so critical. And the 3-point shot can win you games that maybe you otherwise wouldn't, like Gonzaga last year. I don't know that this team can beat Gonzaga. So certainly they can compete. Maybe they can beat them. But the reason that team last year could beat them because they had 3-point shooters, and that's a great equalizer. So, I mean, that's the one area they're getting better at it. They've shot a lot better recently, and you're seeing the results. But that year's team had some all-time great shooters. And so that was the most important thing. So I wouldn't say they're better as far as chances to make a deep run. Not saying they can't make a deep run, but it's going to be harder for them to beat the Gonzagas of the world unless they can continue to shoot at a high level from three.
Now, we live in the virtual conversation and meeting era, so everyone's backgrounds are, made to impress. So we see some pictures of you at BYU. We see a signed Jack Morris jersey back there. But as we talked about during the break, you do have a noticeable and amazing Pez collection. Do you mind showing us that right now?
Oh, yeah. This is my pride and joy. I've been collecting them for about 30 years.
Look at that, the Tower of Babel with Pez.
The Gigantamax Pez.
You're going to speak a different language in a minute.
Little old me built themselves, if you can believe it.
Look at that.
And so, man, yeah, I'll tell you what. Anybody got some old Pez, send them my way.
I don't think you need any more.
That's what my wife tells me.
Mark Durrant with us on BYU Sports Nation. We've been discussing the idea of a West Coast Conference tournament, both with Gonzaga and maybe without, though it feels like the Zags are going to make the trip based on Mark Few's commentary yesterday. It didn't always feel that way. Mark, what do you think the chances are for BYU, both with Gonzaga there and if Gonzaga, for some reason, doesn't make the trip and they play it safe?
Well, I think they'll go, and I go back to that point again, is instead of looking for ways to get out of stuff and have it be different this year, let's look for ways to keep the things that we've always done. And I know coaches have some particular concerns about conference tournaments, but man, who wouldn't want to get all the teams together and play great basketball one after the other and have exciting games and have it, if you win, you might go to the tournament and there's excitement. And I mean, it's fun. And so let's not try and get out of things. There's always reasons to get out of it. Let's look for ways to make it happen. And I think Coach Few realizes that, and it's important, and it's important for the conference and all. So they'll go, I think. And that makes it hard for BYU, obviously. I'd love to see BYU play Gonzaga where they didn't give up 20 points in the first 5 minutes.
Right.
And be competitive. And I think, I'm chomping at the bit to get those guys again. Now, BYU will probably lose, but you've seen it happen before. I mean, St. Mary's beat them a couple years ago. And so, I think let's play it. Let's get down there. Don't worry about the COVID and the injuries that you might have. Just let's go play some basketball. We want to play, and it's fun. And who doesn't want to go to Vegas and play some golf? I do. And
there it is.
I want to get out of this place, man. It's cold here. I want to go where it's 70 and I can golf and watch some basketball. And I know coaches don't think about that stuff, but it's fun for the fans, and it's a fun environment, and it's fun for the players, and they can think about that when they're 50 years old like me and how fun it was to play in that conference tournament. So let's make it happen. No more figuring out ways to get out of stuff. Let's figure out ways to make it happen.
Hey, you bring the Pez, and I'll bring some extra golf balls, okay?
I don't think there's enough extra golf balls in Vegas for you, Spencer.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, I would need. He lived in Palm Springs for a couple years, man. He was playing PGA West and all these nice courses.
Yeah, we need to plan a trip, Mark, okay?
Yeah.
All right. I've got a whole new respect for Spencer now.
I would like the invite too.
Thank you, Jarom.
Okay,
you're invited. You're invited now.
Thanks? Question mark? Jeez. The last 5 games, BYU has a different leading scorer that scored at least 19 points. They're playing 10 deep. Mark, this is very unique. How is this going to benefit BYU down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, I'm describing that. I feel like Jackie Chiles saying that's stupendous. It's amazing. It's whatever. I mean, it's all the crazy words. I've never heard of that before. Has that ever happened at BYU? I don't think so. I mean,
Greg
maybe you get
Wrubell.
5 or 6.
Greg, look it up.
Where is he when we need him? But I mean, usually for the whole season, if you had 5 different guys that led the team in scoring, that would be incredible. But 5, 6 games in a row, And I think, BYU's had a lot of trouble in the tournament, like you referenced earlier. By the way, if that guy that will pay anything for a ticket will get a hold of me, he can sit next to Greg Wrubell during the broadcast this week in your poll. But if BYU struggled in the tournament, but I think this team is built for a tournament, because a lot of times there was so much weight on a Jimmer or the star player to perform night after night, and it's night after night in a tournament, right? And so by the time you get to the championship game, which they got to several times, you're gassed. This team is so deep that I think you're going to still be fresh in that championship game and might have a better opportunity. So the depth of this team and the fact that if Trevin Nell has a bad night, let's go to Spencer and Jarom or Gideon George. If Caleb has a bad night, let's go to Richard Harward, Colby Lee. I mean, it used to be when you had one or two or three guys that you really relied on. If one or two of those guys didn't have a good game, you're toast, right? And now BYU, let's put in the next guy. Maybe it's his night. And it has been. I mean, different guy steps up every night, and they know that. And it's, I really didn't have an expectation when I was playing that I would lead the team in scoring, because we had one or two guys that was good. They were going to do that. But it's fun for a player to think, I'm the ninth guy off the bench, and yet I can lead this game in scoring. That's exciting for players. So, it's cool. It's different. And I think it could benefit BYU, particularly in these conference tournaments and NCAA tournaments when you're playing multiple games and multiple nights.
He's got the greatest Pez collection in the entire state of Utah. He is BYU basketball radio analyst Mark Durrant. We'll let you get to setting some tee times up in Las Vegas, and we'll see you in the warmth down there, my friend, for some good basketball and hitting it on the links.
Guys, I love you. Are you coming down?
I am headed down.
This is my first time not going down. We'll be doing stuff in the studio here.
All right, Spencer, me and you, baby.
Let's go. Let's figure it out. Thanks, Mark.
See you guys.
Mark Durrant on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, you know why, we show how.
I just